So are you ready for the introduction, sir? Yeah, okay. Good evening, everyone. Along with Dr. Suresh Kumar Murugesan, the team lead of this webinar series, and the other co-team members, and the organizer, the Department of Psychology, the American College Madurai, and the associating partners, Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, MS Chellamuthu Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation, Madurai, Red Pond Educational and Psychological Research Center, Madurai, Yellow Pond Counseling Center, Madurai, and Psycho-Oncological Association, Turkey. I welcome all the participants and the resource person of today for the 403rd session of this mental health webinar series. And now today we have Dr. S. Joyce Jairani ma'am with us. She's currently an assistant professor at MS Chellamuthu Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation. Ma'am, thank you so much for accepting the request and being present here to talk about how to build resilience. And now I request Dr. Suresh Kumar Murugesan to talk a few words about the speaker and introduce her to the group. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Chandra. Good evening to one and all present here. I'm really happy to introduce the speaker of today's webinar session. Dr. Joyce Jairani Madam is known to me from MS Chellamuthu Institute for Mental Health and Wellbeing at Madurai. She is a faculty of the Department of Psychology, and also she is a coordinator for Happy Schooling projects. So this is about the role she is playing. And I know personally, madam, regarding that professionalism in that work, what she is doing, and more sincere person, and she know that how the information could be transferred to the students. And I found that there are many persons who are getting into the teaching field or any kind of work, they will not reveal that they don't know. They will not ask any help from others. But I found that that's a quality. And after that presentation she made the last time, ma'am asked me, can you please tell me, sir, what was my presentation? What's your feedback about that? It is very rare quality and such a open person for learning and come forward to share her experiences on building resilience. And resilience is very important topic. We all know that we are facing many crises and many problems in our life. Bouncing back to the normal, it is very rare quality by nature itself, and that can be nurtured through different modalities by providing training and other components. And today we are going to get inputs regarding that building resilience from Joyce Jairani ma'am. Ma'am, we are really happy to have you here, and we are would like to listen a lot more about the topic from you. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, it's not audible. We cannot able to hear you. Are you there? Joyce, ma'am? Ma'am, Dr. Chandra, can you able to hear ma'am's voice?
Sir, no, sir. Just there was a disturbing noise, but I didn't hear her voice, sir.
Okay, even for me also, I will make her another.
Yes, Suresh, ingenu kekkala.
Okay, fine. Maybe, Joyce, ma'am, can you check your audio? If you are connected through your headphone, you can remove that one, ma'am. And most of the time, that headphones are not working properly. Or else you can join through your mobile phone for audio. Now we can able to see your screen. I think you have joined through your laptop, I think so. Now, Joyce, ma'am?
Yes, I'm able to hear, sir. I shall start
I
now.
cannot able to. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I was
ma'am.
not able to hear you also. I'm really very sorry. Really, it's a challenge that to address on the topic resilience today. Thank you so much to Suresh Kumar sir and team for the opportunity given. Uh, Resilience is the screen visible to all? Yes. It's a recovery that is to bounce back from the stressful situation. How well a person is able to bounce back from a stressful situation matters a lot. It is an outcome of successful adaptation to adversity. Last Monday, if I remember right, we were looking upon a topic, the same topic, nurturing resilience, that was particularly in children. Today, I'm talking generally, building resilience. Yes, it is. It has to be learned. It's not a trait that comes in. It has to be acquired, and it's a recovery. I wish to talk about recovery and sustainability, two aspects when we talk about bouncing back from difficult experiences. Recovery, a state, return to former, more balanced state. It's recovery. And sustainability, it depends upon the unique human capacities for appraisal, planning, and intentional action. So, how we can think of the implication of these distinctions? It's really very profound, and it seems possible, even likely, that many people recover from adversity without giving the experience much thought at all. For example, if we take our physiological system, for some tensed situation, for very stressful situation, our BP shoots up, and after a period of time, we come back. Yeah, that is, the BP becomes normal. Or for example, if we take the psychological system, we grieve over the loss of a beloved one or like that. But at that time, it appears that it's very, very difficult to come back to the position to end that trauma. But over a period of time, we come back to the routine. It's like how people say a light appears at the end of the tunnel. When we talk about resilience, as there are individual differences, so there are cultural differences also, people say, in how people rebound from adversity. So, for adults and older adults, preservation of health and well being in the face of adversity provides key resilience outcomes. How much time I take to come back from the stressful situation, the length of time to return to pre-test levels of depression is an example of recovery in a mental health. Sustainability in mental health is revealed by the preservation of energy and commitment, purposeful engagement in work and family life under adaptation challenges imposed by psychosocial distress. So, it's restoration of well being after stressful events. That's all about resilience. The next slide. Resilience is a process of how well I'm able to adapt well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threatenings, or significant source of stress, such as family and relationship problems, or serious health problems, or workplace stress or problem, and financial stressors. See, images, how many of you are able to see? Hope everybody is able to see the image that we have. The next slide. The diamond. A diamond is just a piece of charcoal that handles stress exceptionally well. A resilient individual is one who can shine like a diamond, especially the way how they handle stress well. Emotional pain and sadness are common in people who have suffered major adversity or trauma in their lives. As I have told in the beginning, resilience is not a trait that people either have or do not have. Resilience can be learned. and developed in everyone. But it we need resilience in daily life, and not just when we confront major trauma said by a person unknown. The human capacity for burden is like bamboo, far more flexible than you'd ever believe at first glance. See, that's like the adaptation that we have, the flexibility that we have. It is in the next slide, sir. Next slide. The next. Yes. The bamboo tree looks very tall and very majestic, like, but how flexible we can make it. That's how the human capacity for burden too. We can understand the resilient person to that extent, like a metaphor I have brought over here. The next slide, sir. Resilience. How an engineer terms that. Resilience is the property of a material to absorb energy when it is deformed elasticity, and then upon unloading to have it energy recovered. The property of a material that enables it to resume its original shape or position after being bent, stretched, compressed, or elasticity. I would like to hear from you some of the risk factors that people encounter, that from that we can help person how resilient a person can come up. Usually, what are the risk factors people face in life? Or in other words, if I can say, how what are the vulnerable factors that people come upon? I have listed few over here. Living with a depressed parent or parents with long-standing psychological problems. We have seen many family members, children or parents who are with mentally ill patients, or they have to live with them all through their life, or witnessing ongoing marital discord with no resolution. Sometimes there's no help from the parent side, or lot of problems from the in-law side. So for children, they have to live together, but ongoing marital discord is there. We can say that the person is under the vulnerable situation. Or parents who are separate, particularly when post-separation there is continuing, they will be under deep stress. When there's friction, when a person is supposed to live with domestic violence due to an alcoholic husband, or yes, I see life threatening situations from Hema Kritika. Yes, life threatening situations are many. Bullying is there, online bullying is there, many things are there. A lack of healthy boundaries provided by primary caregivers. When children are with caretakers, caregivers are there. Even within family, more abuses are there. So lack of boundaries. Uh, all these are risk factors, we can say. The parents may under protect or overprotect depending upon the parenting style they have. So these are all the risk factors. And apart from the list that I have mentioned, would you like to put on anything else? Then we can see how we can convert these risk factors to protective factors. So when stressful situation comes in life, how well we can have intervention, and how well we can become a resilient person, how well we can turn that adverse situation to uh, positive protective situation. Cognitive flexibility, living with a toxic person, definitely drug addiction or substance abuse. Yes. cognitive flexibility, when that is not understood, sometimes it is taken for granted. Advantages like when particularly by people who are aggressive. Yes. The next slide. Parental characteristics, like under long-term stress due to marital conflicts or whatever, a parent who has no warmth towards children, confiding relationship themselves, a parent who was not emotionally nourished, poor knowledge of child development, and so the poor parenting too, can cause stress among children, significant intellectual limitations with no additional support. In our society, people give up, people get the depressed persons or mild EMA persons to get married, thinking that everything will be all right after getting married. So, with such thing, it's a lifelong, prolonged, stressful situation for that family. Drug or alcohol dependency, a parent who has limited problem like solving and planning skills or life skills, who have limited life skills, parent who is involved in violent relationship, a violent relationship, so lot of punishments to children, lot of things are involved as risk factors. We can see. Yes, the next slide, sir. What two things helped you to get through the challenging situation? I wish to hear from you before proceeding to the next slide. What two things helped you to get through the challenging situation? Can somebody come up? Yes, exactly, the social support. The social support that we get from friends, neighbors, family members, or spouse, children. Yes, or the beliefs that we have, the uh, community people, the internal strength. Very well. Yes. These two things might have helped you to go through the challenging situations. Wonderfully answered, Ms. Hema Kritika. The spirituality. Yes, I was telling the same, the beliefs like, yes, we have that, we can gain inner strength through our spirituality, the beliefs or the people whom we have, with whom we are affiliated. What your taking care of our self walking exercise, truly good.
Suresh, audio is not there.
Sorry. Next slide, please, sir. What do you see in this picture? Chameleon. Yes. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. Yes. When we have this tendency, really, we can really make the stressful, vulnerable factors that causes stress to uh, protective factors. Uh, So some of the protective factors that we can have is some financial security or the supportive family, as mentioned, richness or being financially secured, we can say being independent, or the age and the maturity that matters. When the needs are met, like love need, the food and clothing, basic needs are met, when the person is healthy physically, when there's emotional bonding with a person with whom I can lean upon, depend upon to gain strength at the time of distress. And the next, education, the knowledge that I have gained, that I've got, the skills that I've acquired, the values that I hold, everything will help me to develop strength in the adverse situations. As we have said, spiritual beliefs will also definitely help. The joint family system, there is a support that we get, the social support, we can say in other words, the self awareness, the inner strength, the internal strength that I have, and the positive thinking that matters the most above all these can become protective factors that can change the risk factors in my life to protective factors. You see how? See, it's the resilience model which I would like to share. There are many other models which was addressed last week. I'm not touching that. So the rest of the things I wish to share with you. How much more the stressors I have. I need to identify. I need to try to turn that into protective factors. If there are how I can turn that to protective factors. We'll see in the next slide. Yes. An adversity, for example, life events or circumstances, it's posing a threat to healthy development. There may be some loss of the loved one, some abuses. It can be any sort of abuse, like physical abuse or emotional abuse, verbal abuse, neglect abuse, whatever it may be. Neglection, continuous neglection from by the family members or the peer groups. It may be how well I'm able to turn that into a very good school experience as a one supportive adult or a special help with behavioral community network support for vulnerable persons, how well I'm going to turn that adversity to protective environment. And yes, the three P's of resilience, if we talk about personalization, the belief that it's all our fault, it's all my fault. And number two is the pervasiveness, the belief that the event will affect all areas of our lives. Something had happened, it will affect my entire life. That is the pervasiveness. And permanence, the belief that after the shocks of the event, it will last forever. Life will never change. These are the three P's of resilience. And the next is the seven C's of building resilience, which is very, very important. Competence. How well I'm going to be a competent person in building the resilience in me. How well I'm going to become a confident person in adverse situation like that. How well I'm going to establish connection with people. How well I'm going to stay connected with people. The character. How well I'm going to gain strength from within myself through my character, the values that I hold, and contributions. How well I'm going to be a contributive person. I'm going to take contributions from others. How well I'm going to cope up with situations. How well I'm going to take control of situations and things. These seven C's are very helpful in building resilience. In talking about the ecology of resilience, building an ecology of resilience means working with others to ensure that we reinforce another's capacity for thriving. An ecological approach to resilience helps us to think about resilience as a connected bundle of strategies that work together to build an effective system of resilience. Something we do with others, something that requires us to act for change in our communities and organizations as well as within ourselves. Yes. Next. When we no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Viktor Frankl talks about this. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. What response are we going to choose matters a lot. The next, sir, I'll talk about this next. Characteristics of resilience. I need to have the previous thing before I ask these questions. Internal locus of control, I need to have strong self-esteem and self-efficiency. I should be a person with strong self-esteem. And next slide, sir. And I should have self-efficiency. And I need to have personal goals. When I have personal goals, when I pursue towards the goals, certain things that comes as barriers, hurdles will not curtail me. And sense of meaningfulness I need to have for my life. Previous slide, please. Previous slide, please. The previous, yes. You can use past successes to confront current challenges. Like in the adverse situation, I can think of the past successes that I have had in my life, achieved in my life, to confront the current challenges that I face. I can use stress as a challenge and way to get stronger. These are the characteristics I need to have within myself to promote, to develop resilience. Yes. Next are the few questions that I would like to ask to the participants. A little exercise to get you to consider what is your locus of control. Answer the following questions. Are most of the misfortunes in life is due to mistakes that you have made? Option number A, or the bad luck. What do you think? Are most of your misfortunes in life due to mistakes you have made or the bad luck? A. One person has answered. Others, A. Okay. Yes, A. Wonderful. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, team. And the next is, the second question, next is the answer for second question. Do you like to plan ahead, feeling confident that will ensure things work out? Or feel it's better not to plan too much as things might change anyway? It's hard to choose, but going with B. Okay. In the jam B, Sadvi Nirmal A. Okay. Anita Ramachandran A. Good. Madan Kumar, yes. B. Thank you, sir. Durga Banu, yeah. B. Okay. Shubha Devi, okay. Thank you. A. Thanks for your response. The final question is, success is primarily due to A. Hard work, or B. Luck and being in the right place at the right time. Chandra ma'am, your answer is for second or third? B. Okay, again B. Okay.
B for both.
Both. Okay, fine. Huh. Somebody has answered both. Durga Banu, you can answer A or B. There's no choice of both. Sometimes A, luck. Okay.
Actually, Joyce ma'am, this is Chandra
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah.
see, in option B of the third question you have asked,
Huh.
I'm very much for the second part of the B option.
Okay. Okay.
But anyway, I choose B because
Okay.
I have seen a lot of hard work, not always ended in success. So I just put it B.
Okay. Fine. Thank you for your answers. That is, I was telling about the characteristics of resilience, right? So first point was the internal locus of control we need to have. If you are tended towards A each time, you have higher internal locus of control. If you are tended towards B each time, you have higher external locus of control. A resilience we can develop when we have higher internal locus of control. When we are looking outside, other factors, external factors, like what are the situations, vulnerable factors that we were identifying, like financial insecurity or domestic violence or alcoholic husband or whatever. We had a long list, right? And we were sharing like so non-supportive family or poverty or unmet needs or chronic disease, living with persons with mental illness in the family, or taking care of disability. All these factors are external. If we have higher internal locus of control, the more resilience we can develop. We will not be looking at all the vulnerable factors or the risk factors in the life. We will develop the strength from within ourselves. We will not we will not lose our strength. We will develop that resilience within us when we are having the internal locus of control. That characteristics, I think, we need to develop to be a more resilient person. Only when we become more resilient person, we can develop resilient communities. We can foster resilience in communities. We need to have the psychosocial aspect of developing coping strategies from within ourselves. That is positive emotionality or cognitive reappraisal. Everything promote successful adaptation to stress in life. And next, yes, this would be like the concluding slide. How we can have develop resiliency in our lives. Before that, how we can foster individual resilience. Break in 2006. He identified 3 core principles to follow in developing resilience. That is control. I need to have the coherence, the connectedness, and also he talks about the culture. When we have to foster resilience in the community, suppose the community is has had a major catastrophes like a disaster or something like that, we need to develop sustainable asset. We need to develop sustainable asset mobilization that improves community response to health challenges. uh, And also, one more thing I would like to address in developing resilience is the neurochemical stress response associated with resilience. No, I have not gone through that slides and all. Please stay on the 10th path to resilience. Yes, thank you. The term allostatus, coined by Sterling and Ayer in 1988, it denotes the dynamic process through which the body adapts to daily stressors and maintain homeostasis. Everybody has a lot of stressful situations in life we need to undergo, but how well are we able to bounce back matters the most. When faced with unexpected, sudden, stressful events, the brain responds by releasing catecholamines and other stress hormones that prepare the organism to cope with the situation and avert harm to the organization. So, when it comes to treatment or interventions that might foster resilience and prevent the development of psychopathology, we need to focus on. If that is not developed, the pathological symptoms that will be due to some vulnerable conditions or risk factors that in life that happen, it will lead to some traumatics. It will end up with some trauma, or it will lead to traumatic stressful situation all through their life. So what intervention strategy that we need to give as a psychological, as a mental health professionals? Structured psychological treatments for PTSD, such as CBT, interpersonal psychotherapy, prolonged exposure therapy. All these researches were done, and all these have showed effective results in cognitive reappraisal and other coping strategies to confront memories of traumatic events and associated emotions too. Apart from this is to do with mental health professionals, what are the simple 10 steps that I can take to develop resilience? I need to stay connected with myself first and with others, because the social support system matters the most. Accept the support offered by the family members and friends. Stay active by joining groups, participating in faith based services, or volunteering. Manage stress by keeping a journal and practicing yoga, meditation, even a small breathing exercise, inhaling, exhaling, and concentrating on your breathing exercise 2 to 10 minutes can really help to stay connected to yourself. When you're going and doing everything for others, when you're missing out yourself, then at a point that you will lose your strength. So stay connected with yourself and to others. See clearly, you cannot control your circumstances. Yes, definitely. But you can control your reaction and attitude by envisioning better times and taking pride in your progress. Acknowledge the change. Accept that your way of life and goals may no longer be the same, and shift your focus to what is achievable now and work toward your goals. Set realistic goals, develop new routines, and celebrate small accomplishments, even that will help you to uh, and yes, celebrate your life and to work towards your goals further. Make decisions, don't detach from your problems. Taking decisive action about your situation will really help you to build strength. Rediscover yourself. Instead of having focus on the external factors, like how we were answering like other factors like bad luck because of this, that, because of this situation, like uh, look within yourself, rediscover yourself, look for and nurture signs of greater self-awareness, appreciation, and growth that you can develop within when you look at yourself. Trust your abilities. Sometimes we have to there's a verse even saying, instead of looking at the log on somebody's eyes, look at the speck in your eyes. So instead of looking at others, looking at other things and comparing with them and putting ourselves down, trust in your abilities, be kind to yourself, and build confidence by staying positive and believing in your ability to pursue. Step back, it's not harm. We view your situation from a long-term perspective to help you to avoid overreacting or becoming overwhelmed to some situations. And choose hope. Expect positive changes in your life. Optimism is the enemy to fear, enemy of fear. So choose, stay positive, help yourself. Make the time to take special care of yourself right now. Attend to your own needs and feelings, and make sure to eat well, sleep well, and exercise. Do exercise. So, all these will really help you to stay positive, the situations, vulnerable situation, riskful factors, to help you to handle that and to overcome that and to come out of that, bounce back quickly. And it will really help you to recover from that and to stay sustainable in that. And it will make you much more stronger to be a resilient person. Next, if you have any questions to discuss, we can discuss. Or if you have anything to add on, you can add on. And this juncture, yes.
Yes, yes, ma'am, kindly continue.
Yeah, the next slide is there. I would like to talk about that in this platform. Yes, Speak to Us Mental Health Helpline is a joint initiative Happy Schooling Project, and Speak is a suicide prevention initiative of MS Chalamuthu Trust and Research Foundation. We have this helpline number, mental health helpline number, that operates all the 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So mirror number 93754 93754. We have team of trained volunteers and professionals in this to attend the calls for the people who are in distress. So sometimes we have time to have to attend to the clients. Sometimes we don't have time to attend to the clients immediately for their need. In this time that people are lonely and depressed, when they are not developing resilience within them, when they are only focused on risk factors and vulnerable situations, when they are finding it hard to develop resilience or to come out of that situation, we are here to help such people. And you can introduce this number to many people as much as possible. 93754 this mirror number. So people who are in distress can really speak to us. When if it can be dealt over phone, telephone, we deal that. And if they need further referral services, we do refer them according to the need. So I would like to introduce this number to you all. Please take down this number and circulate it to your group, so the people in need will be benefited. Thank you.
Thank you for the once again wonderful session, ma'am. Interactive session, a lot of information. It's kind of a need for our always resilience. It's a beautiful topic that needs to be discussed. Thank you for choosing the topic. Thank you, ma'am. Myself, Akshay Lakshmi from the core team. So I'll be handling the question answer session. So participants, if you have any questions, kindly put it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions. And there are a lot of feedbacks, wonderful feedbacks that is coming in now.
Yeah, recently I was addressing to a group of lecturers from all over India in a national conference, which was sponsored by AICTE, Engineering College professors. When I talked about resilience to them, it was much more little different for them. But most of the things I was talking to them from some of the slides over here. So for them, the resilient term is very, very different and new to them. They have never heard of such term. They all have been focusing on stressful situations and such things. So how well they can bounce back, it's everybody, but how well I can recognize from within myself how to come up, they were really unaware of. So it's a topic that in that we can promote, we can talk about as positive psychology, part of positive psychology. We can talk more instead of giving negative connotation to topics like we were dealing so far. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'd like to know something more about care for yourself is the question asked by Dr. Sunny. Care for yourself is taking self-care is you need to have time for yourself, because sometimes I have found myself in a very stressful situation, or I have found people in stressful situation when they keep on going on doing on when they keep on doing things for others and others outside, where they have failed to take care of themselves, where they had spent no time, where they had no time to spend for themselves, to take care of themselves, to focus internally their strength, their weaknesses, or what how they can turn that weakness to strength. They had no time to journal or to bring out their emotions. It when people go like that over a period of time, they like when they don't care for themselves, especially when they are in such risky conditions, like vulnerable situations, like with people with disability, or sometimes they develop burnouts like over a period of time. And so it's always better to care for yourself. Spend time for yourself. Instead of going for big yoga or great meditation, just start with 3 minutes to 5 minutes breathing exercise. Inhale and exhale. Focus on that. Calm yourself. Have time for yourself. The morning hours, if possible, the fresh hours. Plan the previous day for the next day, the previous night for the next day. And such things will help to care for yourself. And much more things I can add on, like do things which you would love to do, like playing music or painting, or whatever that you love to do, that will nurture yourself. You can care for yourself by doing such things. Yes, resilience is usually a misinterpreted term, but we need to, yes, Pallavi ma'am, we need to take it in a positive note. As we keep talking only, we can develop, like we can remove that ignorance, and we can promote such things, positive things, clarity upon people. Burnout prevention is another session that you would like look forward to. Yes, this is presented to Suresh Kumar sir and to the team to take up before April 13th. Yes. Internal locus of control, of course, yes, it's an important one factor to build resilience. But higher internal locus of control might end up in self-blaming during crisis. Being confident is good, but being overconfident is not that appreciable, right? That's how. We need to have some balance when we have focus internally also. Thank you so much. Hope I have addressed the things that were in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
so
you,
much.
sir. Thank you, team.
Yes.
Thank you, participants.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
I kindly request Dr. Chandra ma'am to officially give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Akshaya. And ma'am, thank you very much for the wonderful session. And resilience is always my favorite term as far I have started to learn positive psychology of my own interest. So today also you have made a nicer insights into how to build resilience, what are the important qualities of a resilient person, and how to get to it to overcome the difficult situations in life. I believe that a resilient person also faces difficulty, but they have the quick tip and trick to come out that easily and bounce back to their normal state. So it is all about practicing resilience in life, and you have made it very clear and beautiful today. Thank you so much for your time and insights and experiences you have shared with us. And I thank all the participants and also the resource person of today on behalf of the core team and the organizer of this webinar series. And special thanks to the secretary, Dr. Dominic Christopher, the principal of the American College. And thank you one and all for being present this evening. See you all tomorrow in another session, the same time, same link. Until then, it's bye-bye. Good night.